It's a whole lot easier to pull this tool than to push it. My dad used to say that with people when he had a construction company. It's a whole lot easier to pull them than push them. And more control. I'm going to slick it up a little bit and see where else it might be hitting. I think I'm going to leave it right there until I get this metal mounted to it, because sometimes that changes the way it sits, and if it kicks it up a little bit, it'll drop it down in the front. So I'm going to fine tune it after I put the metal on. This thing has serial numbers right there, right in front of that metal, and I'm going to go ahead and put it down. I'm going to make it as original as I can, not to create a forgery, but to make a reproduction. I don't do forgeries. Thank you very much. But I try to imitate the original as close as I can. I've got to put some pressure on this metal. But I obviously don't want to scratch it. So what I'm going to do is glue me a little pad, a little foot pad right here on this clamp. Just take you a little spot of super glue. Whenever that dries, it'll be stuck to that foot, and it'll stay there until I knock it off. I can knock it off with just a tap of a hammer. This pressure will tell me where this bad boy is hitting. It'll leave a little print, a little scuff mark. You put pressure and impact. And that little foot will just stay on there until I get ready for it to not be on there. Just to give you a better idea of what I'm trying to do right here is there is a bump, that little hump right there that goes into that metal, and right now I've got a square bump. I need to cut it down to a round bump, and I've got it. This is a one-shot deal, because if you get this thing in the wrong place, that way or that way, and that determines that up and down, it stops this from traveling up and down, then this doesn't fit the barrels right if this is in the wrong place. And I've done all the calculations I can to make it be in the right place. This metal here sits a teeny bit recessed below this milled out wood. This is proud of that, maybe 10-15 thousandths, and I have done the best I can to locate this little bump, and now I'm fixing to hand cut that in there because I don't have a bit that'll cut that, and it's not that hard to do by hand. So that's what I'm after. If you're wondering what in the world this short ball-headed guy's doing, that's what I'm doing. there's a escutcheon that goes on the bottom side of this forearm. There's the release lever in there, and this escutcheon goes right in there. But because this is oversized, this will be about another 3/8 narrower, thinner here when I get done, so this screw that I put in there won't reach. That screw's not long enough. But to hold this thing in place temporarily, I'm going to put a wood screw in this hole and just fasten it down. Just stick it there. I just need to fit it to the barrels. So it's a temporary hole, and I'm going to use a really small screw so that the eventual screw will, I'll have to bore a bigger hole for that. But just one little bitty screw ought to hold that thing, I think. Alright, after, I don't know, a couple hours, maybe more, of, I got the mechanism, put in to where it catches like it's supposed to, and then I had to smoke the fronts of these barrels where it's touching right up here at the front, because that thing needs to fit. I don't know if you can see how that wood needs to touch those barrels like it grew there. And when it drops in, when you put that forearm on, it needs to hit like a flat rock in a cow patty. Just so now, because I overcut the top of this and let this barrel sit down into it, I got to trim a bunch off the top of this. And I'll do that. This is just cosmetic. Once the mechanical part of it works, the rest of it's just cosmetic. So I'm going to trim, I'm going to thin this down, take a bunch off the bottom, and take some off the top, make it fit like the original. And then I've already sculpted the back of this down to where it's so, I don't know, it's about a 1/16 too big on the sides here. And then I'll just start shaping the form of it. And I've got to put this, there's a plate, there's an escutcheon that goes on the release here, and of course that's just punching the holes down 90 degrees to where the holes are in the top of it, and just connecting the dots. And then I've got to obviously inlet that. And so, like I said, this is the hard part. This is the important part. If I could just do nothing but that, not saying that I'm not happy, but I'd be a happy camper. I've actually got to chuck this thing back up. There's about 10 thousandths too much on this flat right here. There's about a 10 thousandths gap on this side, and it's tight right there. So I'm going to shave off, just mill that off ever so slightly. Alright, I'm going to be working on this escutcheon. You can see how this little escutcheon lays in there, and your release goes in this little slot right here. To locate that escutcheon where the hole bores from the inside down is perpendicular. Now I've got that hole located right there with that temporary screw I put in. So what I'm going to do is just bore straight down from that hole straight out the bottom, and that'll give me the location of this front screw. And so then I can work from there and just center this thing up left to right, and I can then I can locate the back screw, and it goes into the mechanism from the bottom up, and you don't see it from the top. There's no way to locate it from the top. So I've got to very carefully drill this hole out. I'm going to use a bit that's about a 64th undersized. The reason I'm using a smaller than what I need bit is if I need to ooch that hole a little bit. You understand ooch? It's a technical term. If I need to ooch that hole over just a little bit, I'll have some some leeway that I can do that. The reason I'm going so slowly is that hole is right next to a slot. So I've got wood on 80% of what I'm drilling into. The other 20% is open. And if you try to do that fast, it'll drift that drill bit over. Drill that hole slanted. Now I'm going to take it out of here and check it. But first I'm going to mark where this vise is holding that thing in there. So if I need to put that back in, I can put it right back in the same place. If I need to ooch it. You see what I'm saying about drilling a hole next to a slot? See, the hole is just right next to that opening. It'd be really, really tough to do if you're drilling it by hand. It looks like the hole in the wood and the hole in the metal line up pretty good. It looks like it. If it's off, it's only a few thousandths off. So I'm going to go ahead and enlarge that out to the real size. And something else I can do, a way to measure this, and this is the good thing about having the original piece to refer to, is I can measure from the back of this stock, from right there, I can measure to the center of that hole and get a really, really accurate measurement. And then I can measure from the back of the new stock to the center of that hole, and I can double check myself. That's about as complicated a forearm milling as I've ever seen or done. It's well built, it's well made, it's secure. They've got a little T mill right there. A little block sets sideways and a bolt comes through the back and fastens, and it draws this thing in tight. It's really well thought out.